Hello, friends and foes. I am Lee of the Reverie, and welcome to my comic review and analysis series. Today we'll be looking at Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 1. The text has been edited to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by DC Comics. Go out and support your local comic book shops. Issue number 1 of Absolute Wonder Woman was written by Kelly Thompson, with art by Hayden Sherman and coloring by Jordie Bellaire. Apollo delivers baby Diana to Circe to raise on an island in hell. In present day, Diana faces off against an eldritch monster in Gateway City. In the beginning of the flashback, we get a nice little mythological parallel between Diana and Heracles. This leads me to wonder if we will see Heracles later on in this reimagining of Diana's story. On the next page, we see a salamander try to kill Diana. Something that has been pointed out by other creators, but I feel bears repeating, is that even though this is supposed to be a darker reimagining of Diana's origin, she has not lost the kindness and hope that makes her who she is. I think that certain comics and writers tried to change the character to make the story darker, and then, theoretically, more mature. So I really appreciate that that wasn't what Kelly Thompson is doing here. A detail I appreciate is Circe not taking a true interest in Diana until Diana proves that she has the strength to survive on her own, which is a nice insight into Circe's character. These next panels are just the epitome of subtle storytelling. In the beginning, the cave is so bare, and it implies that though Circe had survived on that island for a long time before Diana came, she had not truly lived. And after she became Diana's mother, she finally had something to live for. And we see this through the evolution of the cave that they live in. From the carving out of beds and bookshelves in the rocks to the adding of shelves, cooking lights into the cave, and eventually to carpets and wooden floor, it starts to feel more like a home. And you get the feeling that Circe is finally living and not just surviving, and that is a great bit of storytelling. Diana finally comes into her own in the flashback section of the story at the same time with the main part of the story comes to the climax of her battle with the monsters is an amazingly well done parallel. Circe encouraging her to say Amazon over and over, and then in present day, her saying Amazon and then stating her name is a great way to wrap up the first issue of this book. I wasn't originally planning on reading anything from the Absolute Universe. Those types of grim, dark-esque retellings of heroes usually aren't my cup of tea, but I was drawn in by the art for Absolute Wonder Woman. I saw a few images online and thought I had to purchase a comic in real life, and I'm so glad I did. As you can see, this issue was signed by the artist Hayden Sherman when he was doing a signing at Impulse Comics. The book wastes no time and jumps straight into the action. In my opinion, one of the best ways to introduce a character is to show them doing what they do best. And we get a good look at who this new Wonder Woman is from all the little details. From the magic coming off her hand when she pulls out her sword, to the sword itself. Also, I really love this full-page spread gives the impression that the sword is slicing through the pages. Something I definitely appreciate is that she is fully covered in her armor, that doesn't have any weird boob windows or cleavage showing, because you really don't see that a lot in female character design, especially in the comics industry. Her armor actually looks like it would protect her in battle, and the art just shows it off so well. Of course, her helmet doesn't stay on for very long, but actually, we have to see her face, and that would happen with any character, male or female, so I can't really criticize it that much. After a very solid introduction, we cut from the action into the flashback portions of the book, which have a very different color palette initially. Here we got a first look at Circe. I really like the details on her clothes. It kind of reminds me of a children's book I read when I was younger, though I can't for the life of me remember what it is. If you have any guesses, please leave them in the comments. I don't know why Apollo was wearing these overalls. They kind of look out of place, especially when you think up what Apollo would be wearing, and they do contrast with what Cersei is wearing, which might have been the point, but I still find them a little odd. Of course, baby Diana is absolutely adorable. She doesn't have that uncanny valley feeling that some of the older comic book babies have. She actually looks like an infant. Another detail that I like is that the animals of the island tend to be a lot more vibrant than the island and Cersei and Diana. I think that's meant to show that these animals aren't alive anymore, that they're more the spirits of animals that have passed into the afterlife. When I first read this comic, I spent a good 15 minutes just looking at all the details on these pages. It's so well done and such a beautiful display of storytelling through subtle and visual means. And if you are going to get any comic for just a couple of pages, I would get this comic, because I love these sort of time-lapse storytelling devices, and it's very well done in this book. Okay, on this page, we finally get a good look at Diana as an adult in her full armor, and it is amazing. My favorite detail is her nose. You don't really see a lot of women in media with noses like that, and I think it just makes her face that much more striking and beautiful. It also has a very Grecian vibe, which works very well with her backstories, and I very much appreciate. I also really appreciate the design of this monster. A detail that I noticed is that the eyes almost look like they're peeking through a helmet, like they're not aligned with the rest of the monster. And that's just a detail that I thought was really fun, because it kind of gives you the impression that it's more like a meat suit than a monster with its own independent consciousness. The composition of this page is really well done, from all the build-up from the flashbacks and the fight that she's been doing, and with her eyes glowing red at the bottom of the page. I love it. This issue is very much about the setup and introduction of Diana and her backstory, and it does a very good job of that. One of the reasons the story works so well is the contrast with her more traditional origin. The impact of her realizing her identity as an Amazon is more poignant because it is such a big part of who she is in the main continuity. Another good bit of contrast is the fact that in the main continuity, Cersei is more often than not a villain over an ally, showing just how different this world is from the one we know. This is a very solid intro into this new version of Diana and the world she inhabits. I enjoyed it very much and would rate it a solid 8 out of 10. This is definitely something you should add to your own comic collection, if not for the art alone. No AI was used in the making of this video. Farewell for now.